Welcome to History with Herodotus, where the tapestry of time is woven with threads of human ingenuity, perseverance, and transformation. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey through the ages, exploring two pivotal narratives that have shaped the course of human history: the fall of the Soviet Union and the history of the printing press. These two subjects, though distinct, share a common bond in their profound impact on the dissemination of knowledge and the evolution of societies. As we delve into these stories, let us first set our gaze upon the horizon of time, to the vast expanse of the Soviet Union, a behemoth of the 20th century that once spanned across 11 time zones, encompassing a diverse tapestry of cultures, languages, and landscapes. The Soviet Union's history is a complex mosaic of revolutionary fervor, industrialization, and ideological rigidity, which ultimately culminated in its downfall. The narrative of the Soviet Union's fall begins many decades prior to its actual collapse, with the seeds of dissent and disillusionment sown during the reign of Joseph Stalin, whose iron-fisted rule was marked by brutal suppression of opposition, widespread famine, and the infamous purges that decimated the Soviet intelligentsia and military leadership. The death of Stalin in 1953 brought a period of thaw under Nikita Khrushchev, who introduced reforms aimed at decentralizing power and acknowledging the atrocities committed during Stalin's era. However, the path towards reform was not without its challenges. The Soviet economy, heavily centralized and dependent on industrial production, began to show signs of stagnation by the 1970s. The invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 further strained the Soviet resources and morale, as the war became a prolonged and costly endeavor with little clear strategic gain. It was against this backdrop that Mikhail Gorbachev rose to power in 1985, ushering in an era of glasnost openness and perestroika restructuring, aimed at revitalizing the Soviet economy and increasing transparency within the government. These reforms, while intended to strengthen the Soviet system, inadvertently unleashed a wave of nationalism and demands for independence among the Soviet republics, as well as calls for greater democratic freedoms. In the quaint town of Mainz, Germany, Johannes Gutenberg was experimenting with a novel idea: a machine that could mass-produce written texts, thereby making books more accessible to the populace. Gutenberg's printing press, invented around 1440, was a marvel of engineering, combining the screw-based press used in wine production with movable metal type. This innovation allowed for the rapid production of books, leading to a significant increase in literacy rates and the dissemination of knowledge across Europe. The printing press played a pivotal role in the Renaissance and the Protestant Reformation, as it enabled the widespread distribution of classical texts and religious materials. The confluence of these two narratives, the fall of the Soviet Union and the history of the printing press, highlights the complex interplay between political systems, technological advancements, and human aspirations. In the decades leading up to the fall of the Soviet Union, the role of information and its dissemination became increasingly critical. The advent of samizdat, a system of self-published and clandestine writings, allowed for the spread of dissident ideas and news, circumventing the strict censorship imposed by the Soviet government. This underground network of writers, thinkers, and activists played a significant role in fostering a culture of dissent, laying the groundwork for the eventual collapse of the Soviet regime. Meanwhile, the printing press continued to evolve, with advancements in technology leading to the development of newspapers, journals, and other periodicals. These publications became vital conduits for news, opinion, and intellectual discourse, facilitating the exchange of ideas across borders and contributing to the growth of an informed and engaged citizenry. As the Soviet Union teetered on the brink of collapse, the role of information dissemination became even more crucial. In 1989, the Soviet government, under Mikhail Gorbachev's leadership, introduced the policy of glasnost, which aimed to increase transparency and openness in government affairs. This led to a proliferation of independent newspapers and journals, such as Moskovsky Novosti and Argumenty I Fakti, which began to publish articles critical of the Soviet regime. One notable example of the power of independent media was the publication of Alexander Solzhenitsyn's Gulag Archipelago in 1989. This groundbreaking work, which exposed the atrocities committed in Soviet labor camps, had been circulated in samizdat form for decades, but was now officially published in the Soviet Union. The book's release marked a significant turning point in the collapse of the Soviet regime, as it provided irrefutable evidence of the government's human rights abuses and further eroded public trust. Meanwhile, in the world of printing technology, the development of digital printing presses was revolutionizing the industry. In 1990, the first commercial digital printing press, the Xerox Docutech, was released, allowing for high-speed and high-quality printing of documents and images. This innovation had a profound impact on the dissemination of information, enabling rapid production of newspapers, books, and other materials. As the Soviet Union continued to unravel, the Baltic republics of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia became increasingly assertive in their demands for independence. On August 23, 1989, an estimated 2 million people formed a human chain stretching over 400 miles from Vilnius to Riga to Tallinn, demonstrating their solidarity and determination to achieve freedom. This remarkable event, known as the Baltic Way, was facilitated by the widespread use of printing technology, which allowed organizers to produce and distribute posters, leaflets, and other materials promoting the protest. In the Soviet Union's final years, the printing press played a crucial role in spreading dissenting ideas and mobilizing opposition to the government. The samizdat network continued to thrive, with underground publications like the Chronicle of Current Events providing detailed accounts of human rights abuses and government crackdowns. As one prominent dissident noted, "The typewriter and the mimeograph machine were our most powerful weapons against the Soviet regime." As 1991 dawned, the Soviet Union was on the precipice of collapse. On January 13th, Soviet troops stormed the Vilnius television tower in Lithuania, killing 14 civilians and injuring hundreds more. The event sparked widespread outrage and galvanized opposition to the Soviet government. In the aftermath, independent newspapers like Moskovsky Novosti published scathing critiques of the government's actions, further fueling public discontent. The printing press continued to evolve, with advancements in technology enabling faster and more efficient production of printed materials. In 1991, the first color digital printing press was released, allowing for high-quality color printing of images and documents. This innovation had significant implications for the publishing industry, enabling the rapid production of colorful magazines, newspapers, and other materials that captivated readers and helped shape public opinion. As the Soviet Union careened toward its final collapse, the interplay between information dissemination, technological advancements, and human aspirations became increasingly complex. On August 19, 1991, a group of hardline communist leaders launched a coup against Mikhail Gorbachev, hoping to restore Soviet authority and suppress dissenting voices. However, their efforts were thwarted by the widespread use of printing technology, which allowed opposition groups to rapidly produce and distribute leaflets, posters, and other materials mobilizing resistance against the coup. As the coup attempt faltered, the Soviet Union's demise accelerated, with the printing press playing a pivotal role in disseminating information and mobilizing public opinion. On December 25, 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev resigned as Soviet president, marking the official end of the Soviet era. The event was met with widespread jubilation as people took to the streets to celebrate their newfound freedom. The printing press continued to churn out newspapers, magazines, and pamphlets, chronicling the tumultuous events unfolding across the former Soviet Union. In the years that followed, the legacy of the Soviet Union's collapse would be felt far beyond its borders. As one historian noted, the fall of the Soviet Union was a seismic event that reshaped the global landscape, ushering in a new era of international relations and redefining the boundaries of freedom and democracy. The printing press, once a humble tool for disseminating information, had become an indispensable instrument of social change, empowering people to challenge authoritarian regimes and demand their rights. As the world reflected on the significance of the Soviet Union's collapse, it became clear that the printing press had played a crucial role in shaping public opinion and mobilizing opposition to the government. The samizdat network, once a clandestine operation, had evolved into a powerful symbol of resistance, inspiring similar movements around the world. Today, The printing press is remembered as a testament to the power of information and the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest times, the written word can be a potent force for change. The history of the printing press, intertwined with the narrative of the Soviet Union's collapse, serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring impact of technological innovation on human history. The legacy of the printing press continues to shape our world, from the proliferation of social media to the rise of independent publishing. As we navigate the complexities of the digital age, it is essential to remember the power of the written word and the enduring impact of technological innovation on human society. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.